In their most recent matchup against the Cleveland Cavaliers, we saw Orlando Magic point guard Markelle Fultz go down with what looked like a very bad knee injury. Now, on the actual play, we saw Fultz drive to the basket, make some contact with the defender, and plant very hard through his left leg. After that, we saw him go down to the floor and grab onto that left knee in noticeable pain. Eventually, Fultz would require a wheelchair to get off of the floor. Now, unfortunately for Fultz, he's had an MRI recently which showed a torn ACL in that left knee, and the Orlando Magic have already reported that he's going to miss the remainder of the season. Now, although Fultz made some contact with the defender, it appears that awkward knee position that his left knee went into might be the main causing factor in terms of tearing the ACL. Now, since some people may not know the anatomy of why this could lead to an ACL tear, this is predominantly what I'm going to focus on with today's video. Welcome, basketball fans. For those of you that aren't familiar with my channel, my name is Nick Gallo and I'm a doctor of physical therapy. With today's video, I'm going to take a close look at that knee injury that Markelle Fultz recently suffered against the Cleveland Cavaliers. First, I'm going to show the play that Fultz was injured on so that we get a good visualization for his exact mechanism of injury. Then I want to go over the anatomical structures that are involved with an ACL tear specifically. And finally, I want to go over that awkward knee position that Fultz's left knee was in and why that would lead to an ACL tear. If you like today's video and you find it informative, please hit the thumbs up and subscribe to the channel because I will be making more videos in the future regarding sports injuries, rehabilitation, and other physical therapy related content. Also, if you have any comments or questions, please leave those in the section below. Now to begin, let's take a look at the play that Fultz was injured on. Now we can see here Fultz drives to the basket, makes some contact with the defender, and then goes down and grabs that left knee. At this better camera angle, we see that as he's driving about right here, he plants and take a look at that left knee as it dives inwards, putting it at a very awkward position. Now to understand what's going on with the ACL tear, let's go over all the anatomical structures that are relevant in the knee joint. Now it's important to note that the knee joint has 4 ligaments that contribute predominantly for overall knee stability. Now the ligament relevant for this injury is the anterior cruciate ligament, or the ACL for short, and we can see that one visualized right here. We have a ligament on the inside or the medial portion of the knee known as the medial collateral ligament, or MCL for short. Then on the outside of the knee, we have another ligament known as the lateral collateral ligament, or LCL for short. And finally, we have a ligament right here that is known as the posterior cruciate ligament, or PCL for short. The other 2 structures that are important in the knee are the medial and the lateral meniscus, and you can think of these as shock absorbers between the femur and tibia bones. Without these in place, the person would have bone on bone in the knee joint and it would be very uncomfortable. Now let's go over that knee position that we saw Fultz's knee go into. Now this position can be called many things, but clinically we refer to this as something known as a dynamic knee valgus. And this is indicated by when we see a person in weight bearing, the knee caves inward towards the middle or medial portion of the body, and then we get some rotation of the femur above. Now, when you get a lot of excessive dynamic knee valgus in weight bearing, like we saw in Fultz's case, this puts a lot of strain on that ACL, and we can see it here in the model. So if someone plants and their knee dives medially or to the inside, and then their femur also rotates like they're going to cut, we can see right here it puts a lot of strain on that ACL. This is why I believe this abnormal positioning most likely led to the ACL tear in this case. Of course, for ACL injuries, you have the grading system, so you have grade 1, grade 2, and grade 3. Grade 3 is, of course, when the ACL is fully torn and the person is going to require surgery. Now, in Fultz's case, we know this is a grade 3 ACL tear because they distinctly said that his ACL is torn and he's going to require surgery. The typical surgery for this type of an injury is a full ACL reconstruction. So what they're going to do is they're going to take a piece of tissue either from Fultz's body or from a donor and create that new ACL for him. Typically, after full ACL reconstruction, we can see people return to sports unrestricted around as early as that 6-month mark. But like I've said before, this really depends on a case-by-case basis. And so we'll have to monitor Fultz's progress in rehab to determine when he's going to actually return full-time. If there's no other complications for Fultz and everything goes well in rehab, I expect that he'll make a full recovery and we'll see him next season. And that's it as of right now for Markelle Fultz's most recent ACL tear. Once again, if you like today's video, please subscribe to the channel because I will be making more videos in the future. Thanks for tuning in, and I'll see you next time.